Hey family, can you take a moment and go on a journey with me? I want to share a few things with you to see if you see what I see. But before I get started, may God bless this family. Please accept my sincere condolences. Now, as I was doing a deep dive, I found this video and it just really disturbed my soul. I want to share this with you.
It's a shame that what happened to these young boys, but we got to talk about it. We got to tell the truth about it. These young boys wasn't because they was black. They wasn't because they was in the sun downtown. And we're going to deal with the truth. They wasn't by the firefighter. The firefighter was only charged with tampering with evidence. And he tampered with evidence the same way y'all tamper with evidence when someone gets killed in the hood. Y'all constantly filming it and putting it on Facebook and social media. But it's not okay when a white person does it. He was inspired by y'all. He wants to get some cheddar. He want to get some change. He want to put it on social media. These are 19-year-old young men. They didn't just miss their flight. They purposely missed their flight. They had no plans of getting on that plane where they told their parents where they was going. You don't want to deal with the fact that lots of black people are suffering from mental illnesses. But we're going to deal with that tonight. And you black parents, I don't trust anything that you say because half of y'all don't even know your children. You're too busy doing everything else but getting to know your children. And your children are out here running wild. So most black parents don't know their children are. And in this case, allegedly, this is allegedly my opinion. If you don't like it, let it fly. These boys scream the blood of Jesus. And in this case, you can tell they must have some Islamic influence.
All right, I'm going to stop it right there because, child, that's a lot to digest. And of course, I cut out a lot of stuff because I didn't want to add more insult to injury because he was just, ooh, child, the words cannot express. But anyway, I don't want to assume that you know this story. So let me backtrack a minute before I introduce the evidence I wanted to present.
All right, you guys, so we have been covering the case of the Bell Mountain twins. 19-year-old twins, Qaadir and Naazir, they were discovered by hikers on the top of Bell Mountain. So the investigators are saying that one twin had to unalive the other twin, and then that twin then unalived himself. And the family is saying there is no way that is true. And I completely agree. Now, y'all, a volunteer firefighter has been charged with obstruction in this case. So there's not a lot of information on it, but a firefighter shared pictures of their after they were found. And that led to the firefighter being charged with obstruction.
The cell phones were found in the car. The two young men, Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, vehicle was found at Bell Mountain. The cell phones were in the car. The cell phones is going to get a lot of information on the data and whereabouts of who they were communicating with and where they were driving to, and a timeline of kind of where they were heading the night before they were supposed to board their flights to Boston at 7 a.m. the next day.
I told y'all this story did not sound right from the beginning. The truth is finna come out. So on March 18th, a volunteer firefighter named Scott, who was 42, was arrested on a misdemeanor charge for obstruction because this man decided to take a picture of the two lifeless bodies of Qaadir and Naazir Lewis. And then he posted it online, y'all. So you ask yourself, why would he do that? That's mental. Did he have anything to do with it? They said upon arrival, when they seen the two twins unalived, they had multiple. So they say one unalived, the other didn't unalive itself. But with multiple wounds? How do that even sound, y'all?
A lot of people aren't talking about this enough. This is Qaadir and Naazir Lewis, and they were found in Hiawassee County, Georgia. Mind you, they were on their way to Boston. They missed their flight. Family got concerned, and these two were found in the mountains on a bike trail. They called 911. 911 gets there, and one of the firefighters that was on the scene decided to take pictures of these two young boys unalived on the ground, and he posted on his social media page. And this is him, Scott Curlin. He's the one who did it.
According to the statement issued by the GBI, Scott Curlin heard the call come over the radio and responded to the scene. That's how he got access to the scene. And he took these photos and apparently he shared them publicly. So the GBI is conducting the investigation into the boys, and they uncovered this information during their investigation. Scott was released from the fire department on March 14th, and now he's been charged with obstruction, which is a misdemeanor. It is absolutely disgraceful. And what was the reason? What was the absolute reason for you to do something like this? I can't think of a reason. This family is already going through enough, and then they got to worry about the fact that you shared photos of these beautiful boys online, and I just can't even fathom it.
This is not adding up. So you know the two twins that were found unalived at the top of Bell Mountain in Georgia, and how the volunteer firefighter was booked in for tampering with evidence because he took pictures of the scene and distributed them? Another volunteer firefighter for Bell Mountain was also arrested. Like, what's going on with these volunteer firefighters? Look at this. So this guy, Towns County, which is the county that Bell Mountain, arrested on fraud charges. Jerry Wayne, 55, Hiawassee, is being charged by the GBI, like computer forgery. So this was the first guy, and that's the second guy. For a minute, I thought they looked related, but he's 42 or 43, and he's 55. Like, what's going on with these volunteer firefighters at Bell Mountain? And what does the second one have to do with this case? What? This is the parking lot for Bell Mountain. This is the overlook deck for Bell Mountain. Spread the word. Justice for these two boys. Like, get the word out there so this case doesn't go cold.
Yeah, I agree with her. But you saw that, right? If not, let me refresh your memory. I'm going to give you a drone view, and we're going to drive through Bell Mountain.
Today, I had the audacity to drive up to Bell Mountain with my children without my husband. Seriously, this Florida girl has been in the North Georgia mountains for like 10 days, and suddenly I think I can conquer anything. I didn't do really any research before going, so the mountain was way steeper and more swirly than I expected. When we finally made it to the top, we walked to the overlook deck, which rises 3,424 feet. As you can tell, it's a pretty interesting park. All of the rocks, railing, and road are covered in artistic graffiti. But the 360-degree views are undeniably beautiful. I was absolutely terrified to drive back down the mountain, so much so that I sought comfort and may have started crying a little bit to a sweet, unsuspecting family. They calmed me down and gave me some tips for driving back down the mountain. But here I am at the top, pretending to be cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah, so you see, old girl was suffering from some form of anxiety. She wasn't cool, calm, and collected. So you want us to believe that these young folks were so pressed to see this view that they would drive up there in the middle of the night just to see a view that they had never seen before and risk everything. Y'all saw all those houses up in those bushes. I'm saying what I'm not saying, but I am saying it, and I mean it. Whew, okay, so I got another thing I want to share with you that I found very, very interesting.
What's up, nerds? I'm sure by the graffiti some of you can already tell where I'm at. This is Bell Mountain in Hiawassee, Georgia. These are some of the best views in North Georgia. My personal opinion, it's been ruined by the graffiti, but let's walk around and check it out. After a steep drive and a walk up a little over 100 stairs, you'll have your choice of 3 observation decks offering 360-degree views of Lake Chattooga, the North Georgia mountains, and off into North Carolina. I'm going to have to yell just so y'all can hear me. I'm now up here at the highest overlook, and just check this out. Now let's address the downside of Bell Mountain. In the 1960s, a group of men from North Carolina blasted the top of the mountain in search of minerals. Pair this with the onslaught of graffiti that covers nearly everything, and you have one of the most scarred mountains in Georgia. Some people like the graffiti. I personally do not. Let me know what you think. But for these reasons, plus the expansive views, this is definitely one of the most unique places in Georgia. And folks, please remember that when we're enjoying these outdoor spaces, it's of the utmost importance that we always leave no trace.
Okay, so I am in
Towns County, where those two boys were found. The ones who missed their flight, they were found on the mountain. I've lived in Georgia a long time, and I have a job in the next county over. But I came over here because of the claims of it being a sun, which I have no opinion of because I've never been here and I haven't heard anything. But let's take a walk through Home Depot, see what kind of vibes we get. You guys want to see the whitest you've seen anybody do?
Where would I find wooden dough?
Oh gosh.
Be safe out here when y'all traveling, man. Do not talk to strangers. Don't get in a car with strangers. Don't party with strangers. None of that. Your life is not worth a brief moment of happiness. Now, I don't know what those two twin guys had going on, but they was too young to be done that way. Take precaution when y'all travel to these different areas, man, and have your location on at all times.
He is correct. Please share your location. I love you to life. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Let's stay on this case. Oh, I do have one more treat for you.
Valerie, focus us back, and we are digressing.
Yes. I'm very honored to be on this show, and once again, thank you so much for bringing me on, and to our brother Judge Joe Brown and all of you who work with him. I'm just honored to be here.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you.
Absolutely. Well, first, my name is Brother Rizza Islam, native of Compton, California. I'm a humanitarian activist. I've been working in the community nearly 20 years of my life, and recently have been on social media, pretty much putting on social media what it is that I do in real life. I've been doing that, I'd say, strongly for the last maybe 2 years.
I definitely applied everything that you, again, you lend to us. Thank you so much again for your time today. And thank you also to the other person who's on the phone with you. I appreciate you as well. Now, I want to, like I said, before we get started, I just want to ask you one question before bringing the judge in, and that is, I know the state of America, I can kind of guess, but what is the state of the black woman?
Black men and our lack of protection. That's a very major key point, because we as men have been destroyed, okay? And I literally mean from our name, our language, our culture, our religion, our God, our pride of being who we are as men, our masculinity has been removed.
Here we go. Welcome, Judge Joe Brown, to the show, 323-646. How are you doing? Happy Friday.
Well, yeah. How's everybody doing today?
Hey, how are you?
We are doing great.
Judge is in the house again. I guess.
That's right.
Brother, I appreciated your take on the thing about how it looks like it's all coming back around. But my first comment is this. I noticed something. I shaved my head now. So I was sick for a while, and I lost all tan, and I looked pretty pale, and I was traveling across country. And all of these white people were smiling at me and everything else, not because I had a TV show, but because they thought I was white. And it was kind of shocking to say, act this way toward each other. You know, like there's a presumption you're cool until proven guilty, which is a lot different than the looks I got a year and a half before when I had my hair. You know, it's like, okay, now I begin to understand what these folk are doing. They've got an inside track. You know, they've got a club. And everybody else, including us, we're kind of strangers in a strange land, and we don't drop. You know, that was a novel I read, a sci-fi thing by Heinlein. But it's a weird kind of thing about this race bit.
So Rizza, brother Rizza, what should I call you? I keep saying Rizza because I'm used to Wu-Tang. But brother Islam,
right, I know that.
Is that right?
Brother Islam, brother Rizza Islam, they're all fine.
Rizza, gotcha. All right, so how do you feel? Do you have what you want to comment on what the judge just introduced?
Oh, yes, and once again, Brother Judge Joe Brown, I am honored to be on this show, on your show, because I watched you growing up, definitely, and you've always been straightforward and always had that masculine energy of a black man. I've always honored and appreciated that because, as you just pointed out, that's something that is not being present heavily, as you've already been witnessing yourself. So just thank you very much for allowing me to be on your show. Judge, you brought up a point dealing with Brother Malcolm X. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad never said that white skin is what made the person. He said that it was the mentality that made that person, and they were the number one group of people who had been carrying out that malicious, horrific mentality on the planet. But they are not the only. There are black. Anyone who devalues a human group or people for pleasure or tries to destroy an entire group or human beings because it makes them feel more superior is a. So white people are not the only ones. However, they were the number one, and still to this day they happen to be the majority, but they are not the only ones. So I just want to clear that point up. And Brother Malcolm X never changed his mentality. He understood, which is the skin was never it was the mentality being carried out upon the human beings of the entire human family on the planet. So
I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. That I agree with. The problem is too many other people did not understand that distinction. On Twitter and Facebook, when people are throwing around whites, you know, they don't get the difference, and it's like because you're white. Well, take a DNA test, you might find out you got a lot of it in you yourself. So exactly, what about your ancestors? So the commentary about what's going to happen in this country in the next 20 to 30 years. So it is a phase. So there's a lot in this that we have to deal with in terms of the realities that we have manufactured in our own heads.
Pause. Manufactured in our own heads. Keep that in mind. Write that on a piece of paper. I think the family needs to get an autopsy done, right? Because somebody's playing in our face. The evidence, the math ain't mathing, the evidence ain't evidencing. So I hope you see what I see, right? Yeah, we may not know the color of the culprit. Maybe we do. Maybe we don't. But the evidence does not lie. And something ain't right. Something smells real fishy. So I want to play this audio clip, then we're going to get back to what Judge and Rizza were talking about. But there are a lot of Easter eggs in this, and maybe we're onto something, maybe we're not. Maybe it's all manufactured, right? But let's go back before we go forward. Okay? Bear with me.
TikTok. We took us a adventure today. As y'all can see, we on top of them. You feel me? Look at this view. And I tell y'all, it's like amazing. It's beyond beautiful. It took me a minute. I had high anxiety coming up here. I ain't gonna lie. My anxiety was through the roof. It's probably gonna be worse going back down. But I just want y'all to see exactly why I took this ride. You feel me? Be happy. Just want y'all to see. Like, it's amazing up here, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't park all the way at the top because it was already scary. Came this far. Walked down there, walked up that hill. It's a hill right there. That's still not scary but tired. Imagine driving up it and being afraid of heights. Not scary but tired. Imagine driving up it and being afraid of heights. I'm already afraid of heights, so I had no business coming here by myself. But you know, it was well worth it though. Check y'all out these stairs. Even these stairs was a bit scary. I tell y'all, I don't like heights, y'all. See, look at that. They way gangster than me. I ain't gangster. And I guess people was just write stuff all out so see everything graffitied up. Look at this. Look at it, beautiful. The higher you are, walk, the beautiful it get. The more beautiful it get. And coming, you'll be like, huh, what mountain am I going up? You see all these mountains? You gonna come up this one. Ooh, I don't even want to look down. I hate looking down. Hang on. I'm gonna be driving in first person view going down. But boy, my anxiety going. Oh my God. I'm out of breath. No, I can't do no running. You know, nothing. It don't stop. Right. We is in Georgia, baby. This ain't Atlanta, man. Remember, that's what you get when you step out of Atlanta.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Absolutely.
Forward, young man.
Well, I'll say, well, yes, sir. I'll do my best here. I'll say it this way. Number one, when it comes to our dear sister, departed sister, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing papers, she delved thoroughly into that, and she has done many, many, many lectures with it, which is basically she would use a symbol. She would have a physical clay carving, and she said this is what their biggest, and this is why, according to the United States Census Bureau, by the year 2042, America right now is saying this will be a majority brown country because white women are not producing enough children. Their wombs are not holding the birth all the way until 9.5 months. They're not holding it. They are having a lot of problems, which is why they have so many fertility clinics in their neighborhoods. But between 78 to 80% of black neighborhoods, black and brown impoverished neighborhoods, we have tons of clinics because we are producing children at a high rate, but white women are not. And as a matter of fact, the population of Caucasian people is dwindling. It's not about hating you; it's about you living. And so that's a senior. It's a logical perspective, but it's something that really has to be looked at. Which is why certain people in the and so they they have to grab things to try. Yeah.
Let me say something about this. This is interesting. Your typical is viewed as being a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take that. Where do Anglo-Saxons come from? England, right? Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Correct.
in 410 AD, somewhere thereabouts, the last several Roman legions left England because of the German incursions that were threatening Rome and Constantinople.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the last three legions that got to Britain and had been there 70, 80 years and interbred a lot with the local population, had been recruited from the Sudetenland and from Ethiopia and from Egypt. So there was a very high percentage of Africans, black Africans, in those legions. So genetically, there is a big bunch of black African genes in your typical descendant of an early Briton that's in there. Next thing is when they gave the Moors the opportunity to either convert to Catholicism or leave after 1490, when Ferdinand and Isabella unified Spain under their two houses. A lot of them became mercenaries, and they went to the lowlands, and they were in the service of the Spanish armies. And when Torquemada started his Inquisition, and a lot of those Moors wound up dumping the second load of African genes into the English population through Scotland. And a lot of those kilt wearers wound up with a high percentage of black genetics. Now, in 1743, England freed its slaves, and there were about 1.5 million African slaves in England at that time, and they did not get deported. So the third dump of African genetics into the English population, at least on the commoner level, occurred then. Now, we've got this black actress that married into the English royal family as Princess so-and-so. But interestingly enough, when the U.S. wound up getting free from England after the Revolutionary War, King George III was notorious because his wife, though sufficiently noble, had an African mother and a white British nobleman for a father. So it was notorious that King George had a half African queen. That's in English history. So that came in even at the top. So when you talk about white Anglo-Saxon Protestant being your typical whites, they got a whole lot of black African in them directly. And that makes the whole concept just about a laugh if it weren't so tragic in terms of its consequences.
And that's the issue. I don't like using that term. However, that is the depiction and perfect description of what it is that we're dealing with. So that mentality is something that has to go. We must stand on integrity. We must do what is right, and we must do what benefits our people and benefits all in humanity, but first what benefits our people, even if it means going against our own selves. So integrity is something we have to maintain.
Yeah.
Let me add something briefly. Let me add something briefly to help you out, brother. Machiavelli in the Prince said, "No, old prince, you can get your subjects to submit to the worst oppression. They'll assist in their oppression if you give them a chance, however slight, to become part of your cast of oppressors." And see, that's what these black colored folk are doing, is they are jumping at the chance to be part of the oppressing class, and they assist in the oppression of their own people.
That is right. Precisely. And it's our responsibility, because we can't say anymore that we have all these excuses and we have all these barriers entirely. It still is a system that exists. However, we have enough celebrities, enough influence, enough platforms, enough money to come together and do something for ourselves. We simply need to unite and separate from the system and literally pool our resources so that we can do something for ourselves. It's that simple.